Hello friends, Jennifer Pearson here, Thistle Gypsy. I hope all of those who celebrate Thanksgiving had a lovely holiday, and for those who don't, I hope you had a wonderful Thursday. So I'm still wrestling kind of with how to what to keep for one thing. For example, all of that stuff back there, what to keep, what to let go of, how to spend my time, despite the feedback that I got from Uncle Conver. I am still thinking about these things, still shifting, which is, I'm pretty chronic that way anyway. I'm always reevaluating everything. And so I ended up coming up with a little spread just to help assess what I get out of my activities. Because some of them, like the collaging, I haven't been doing. Now I've set something up that I'm hoping will sort of start to trigger me with the coming year, so that I'm doing it in at least a little bit, without any interest in completion. But just gets me taking out the glue and sticking pictures to paper. But I ended up, as I was thinking about that and thinking, well, you know what, I'm going to such lengths to get myself to do something that I supposedly want to do. What's with that anyway? And one thing that I realized too, as I was thinking about that and various other things that I try to do with varying levels of success, is the extent to which I create situations or things to worry about, things to fixate my mind on. And this is the first time I've really framed it like that. Because it's not worry like keep you up at night kind of a worry, but it's something to just kind of chew on in my mind. And I frame it as worries at this point because I am a Cancer. I would say, as Cancers go, I am not much of a worrier. And I've often referred to myself as the anti-Cancer. But I also have a very strong Gemini rising, and a Virgo moon, and both Gemini and Virgo are ruled by Mercury, so you've got the communication thing going on, and you've got the mental stuff going on with the air sign of Gemini. So it's like, what I want, it's like normally a Cancer would be caring for things or caring for the surroundings, and that's, you worry about, that is expressed, that preoccupation. And maybe that's what it should be, not worrying, but preoccupation. And so the mental preoccupation would be with my home environment or things that I care for. Instead, my preoccupation is with ideas. That's my Gemini thing. And so it's like I'm realizing that I tend to create things that I can chew on mentally, that can keep my mind kind of preoccupied. But it is a form, to me, it is a form of worry, as I, create structures and how am I going to do it and stuff like that. There is a worrying component, but not the kind that involves like losing sleep or anxiety or anything like that. So, and that's part of, so the little spread that I came up with reflects that, is kind of an exploration of the extent to which I'm creating stress for myself through these activities, which didn't turn up too much. So, again, I'm worrying about something I don't need to worry about. I'm being mentally preoccupied by something I'm evaluating. I'm doing a Virgo evaluation of something I don't need to be evaluating, really. But I thought I would share it in case it proved useful to anybody else. So, I just have written on a piece of paper assessing activities, and I've divided it into two parts. One is while I'm doing it, what I get out of it or what stress it creates while I'm doing it. And then the long-term influence. And that also is, so for while I'm doing it, I have what pleasure does it give me, kind of what purpose does it serve, and the pleasure principle end of things. And that what stress do I experience in the actual doing of the thing. And then for the long-term influence, I have how does it benefit me, or will it benefit me in the long term, and how will it be kind of a drag on my energy or attention long term. So I'm going to go through those. I'm mostly over my cold stuff, thank heavens. But as I talk, I can feel it. I can feel it in here. So there's going to be some coughing. So, first thing I did was tarot activities, and I didn't divide it into anything. It's just tarot activities in general. So, what pleasure does, pleasure principle does it satisfy is kind of my thinking here. I'm sorry, it's like, it's all dry, there's nothing in there, which I think doesn't help. It's just a dry, huffing sort of a thing. So I got the Magician, and it was interesting that only 2 activities got Major Arcana. This got Major Arcana in the while I'm doing it, and then a writing activity got a pair of Major Arcanas for the long-term influence. So, I see this as enjoying, the use of all of the elements, the use of faculty, the connection with the above to the below, seeking guidance. But as many people know, if you've watched my channel, my guidance tends to be quite practical, that I seek. Let me look at it, because, yeah, I think it's just exercising, practicing, exercising intuitive abilities. Oftentimes this is a card of manifestation, but I don't think of my tarot practice, and especially the actual doing of it, as necessarily being about manifestation, even though it is about practical things. And then, so that's the pleasure, is kind of exercising, and to me that's mental too. A magician is exercising mental abilities. And then for the stress, interestingly enough, I got temperance, which I think is kind of striking a balance. But or it could even just be the literal term of temperance, some form of moderation. So getting, setting up these elaborate projects I'm going to do. So really it is true that one of the stressors is between all of the things I want to do. To me, this is kind of a Gemini card. And modifying it. You have to stop and rest. You have to keep your foot on the ground. You have to... So again, this is, to me, is kind of airy energy, even though he's got all of the elements in front of him. And this is more, oh, she's got wings. He's got wings. Water and earth to kind of remain balanced there. So long term, for the benefits, King of Cups. And I think that's just about being... Oh, it will not focus. Ending up being very comfortable with the intuitive realm, regardless of, how rough the seas are or whatever. Feeling very competent and grounded while engaging in excuse me, intuitive work. And then the drag, the long-term drag, is the Ace of Cups, which to me is, I think this is kind of a lack of, I think a lack of nourishment in return is kind of what I'm getting out of this. Like other people who provide a service, you can get drained. So, what's nice about that, you get the Ace of Cups for something that is, supposed to be a negative influence. Well, and I was lucky in that regard, I think, most of them, with very pointed exception of the Devil. They actually were all Cups cards in that drag influence, and really they're all positive cards. So, and I added one more, which I forgot to mention. As I started it, I added one more, which was whatever was at the bottom of the deck, and I'm calling that a hidden motivation. So it's a hidden motivation for doing that activity. And it's this, and to me this is escapism. So truly that's kind of how I see this. It's just a form of escapism. Even though most of my questions, when I read for other people, I'm more likely to be doing love readings and stuff. But when I'm doing it, it's it might have to do with practical stuff, but still the act of doing it is in large measure a form of escapism. Alrighty, so my dog activities, my dog training, whether my dogs that I'm training or taking for walks or whatever, doing dog training at the local park or whatever. So the pleasure is 10 of Cups. So it's one of those things where I get this and I think, wow, I didn't know I enjoyed it that much. But I do see that it connects me to a community. I meet other people who are interested in, communing with their pets, communicating with their pets. So it might kind of create something of a family, a happy family. And certainly that's, there is that spirit for people who keep coming week after week. The thing that is a stressor is the constant evaluation and having to plan what we're going to do next. What's the next thing? How do I move it along? How do I get past, this is kind of about how to get past a certain plateau or level of development and take it to the next level. So, yeah, definitely. For long-term benefit, 2 of Pentacles. I'm not sure I see that as a benefit, except, when it first came out, I thought, by training dogs, you create more flexibility and opportunity for balance. And one of the things, now that I think about it, that I've been wanting to do, one of the reasons I've been, Rufus has his problems, and that's why I take him to obedience, but my other dogs, Boo and Zippy, I'm going to be taking them to obedience class because eventually I want to walk 2 dogs at the same time. And I actually don't want this to happen. I want it to be steady and smooth. So I want to be able to walk more than 1 dog at a time. So that's a great long-term benefit. And then for the drag is the Knight of Cups. So, one of the problems I could see this representing would be, like if I'm involved, which I do have to be careful about getting too involved with, like rescues and stuff like that, because then I become the Knight of Cups and I want to be able to take dogs in or rescue that dog or take that dog. I mean, and I don't need to do that. Because that does create a drag, or it does create, my current situation, really, I'm overwhelmed. I've got too many animals with too many issues. So, and the hidden motivation, ta-da, yes, very obvious. Some fixation on this idea that I'm a lion tamer. I don't know. I should put that one aside because it shows up again. So I have control issues, which is a Cancer thing. What else? I'm going to need that again. I'm going to need that again. And that's all. I think. I might have to go digging in that pile again. So next is my collage. So all of this stuff back here. And so it's interesting because for the pleasure, I got the Ten of Wands. And I do actually know what this refers to. It means that I take pleasure in the gathering of the materials, which is why I have all of that material and I'm not using it. So, excuse me. So yeah, I love the gathering. This is, I've often thought, in fact, I'm just sure of it. You know how they say that men have this primal need to hunt and do that sort of thing? Some sort of, whether competition or that sort of thing, that there's just this evolutionary, inner drive to do that. That there's some that you have to actively counter that if you don't want it to come out, or you have to find some outlet for it. And so I thought, all right, well, fine. So men, so it's a hunter-gatherer society, and the women were the gatherers, right? Well, then let's not hear any more blame about shopping, because clearly we're wired to shop. And so we're just exercising our, our evolutionary instincts to do this, to do the gathering, to do the shopping, the assessing and the shopping and the gathering. So, in truth, I am not much of a shopper. I hate to go grocery shopping. I hate to go clothes shopping. But I do enjoy book shopping. I do enjoy gathering images, things full of images. My stones, my rocks, my stones, tarot decks. Although that one's slowing down, thank God. But, so there are various things that I consider desirable. And I would have starved in a hunter-gatherer society because I would be picking up rocks. But anyway, there we go. I love the gathering. That's where the pleasure is. And then the stressor is the Queen of Pentacles. And this could just mean, if we think of the Queen of Pentacles as somebody who is about arranging, Taurus energy, arranging a beautiful environment. It's this stuff this is how it's stressy, is having all of this clutter around and creating a space in which to do it where I can put it all away. So the gathering of it is the pleasure. The having of it is the stressor. And it's interesting because neither of those, again, excuse me, seem to be directly related to the activity of creating a collage. Maybe this, because you do gather images as you're working on a collage. But all right, long-term benefit, Four of Wands. And I don't know what that is. Maybe I've thought about doing collage parties, but pretty much nobody's interested. So I just don't live in an area where that just even registers as an activity. So I don't know. I think this is one of those things that's this long-term question that will have to reveal itself in its own time. And then where'd it go? Oh, I didn't get him back out. Oh, and then we have the Knight of Cups again. So, oh no, not the Knight of Cups, the King of Cups. Where'd it go? Yeah, sorry. I jumped up to the dog activities. So again, here he is as a supposedly negative influence. Actually, he was a positive influence for the tarot activities, the long-term benefit. Here he's the long-term drag. And I have a hard time imagining him as a drag on this. To me, that's almost like, one of the long-term consequences of this activity is that it will become more and more intuitive. And I won't be thinking about it as much. Next is the hidden motivation, which is interesting. So this is what I have for my hidden motivation. And it's interesting because, of course, with collage, you're tattering things. And they are in tatters. So I really do get this. And so it makes me wonder, now that I've got my camera again and can take pretty pictures, if my motivation will fall away. Yeah. But, it's essentially wanting to engage in some sort of artistic activity. To me, it's therapeutic, and I do love images, but not kind of being at this level in terms of being able to create. I can't draw. I can't do things like that. I mean, could I, if I spent a lot of time on it? Maybe someday, when, I'll take up pastels or watercolor oil or something when I'm old, but I don't want to have to think about it. I don't even really want to think about having to create something beautiful. So I take the rags that are already there, that are already beautiful, and I'll just combine them and play with them. And that will be my way of enjoying images. Alright, so the last one is writing, like fiction type writing. So, and this is very clear to me as the pleasure is just exercising my imagination. What will I have them do? Where will they be? Who will they be? And the stressor also makes sense. Well, then I have to write it, don't I? Or don't I? Can I just imagine these things and never follow through and actually do it? Because that's what this is to me. It's like, well, you've got to get started and actually do it. You've got that stick there. It's starting to sprout. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to plant it? Are you going to cultivate it? Are you going to put in the labor to make it happen? And then the long-term benefit is the Chariot. And again, there's the aspect of the balance, kind of like with the Temperance. But there's a level also here of success or feeling accomplished in some regard. So if I actually do follow through and finish something. And then the drag, interestingly enough, is the Devil. And I do kind of get this, if you create, so this is almost, to me, is kind of cautionary. So I was recently shopping for my mother for her birthday, and she likes mystery, and she likes mystery series. And so if you're writing something like that, I don't think I'll be writing mysteries. I don't have any, that's not my conceptual talent, is not in mysteries. But you're chained to that scenario, you're chained to those characters, and taking them through a process, or repeated episodes of something. And again, I don't know that is the type of writing I would do, or if I would just do one-offs. It's still I'm still in the pleasure point with that kind of thing. I'm still in the nice little imagination area. I'm not sure that I'll even do that, even though it has the major arcanas as the long-term benefit and drag. So, for the hidden motivation, for the writing, I've got the Strength card again. So it came up twice. That's why I say I've got control. I'm into control, apparently. But this is much more difficult to kind of get as a hidden motivation than when it turned up under dog activities. I'm not sure, if the writing is supposed to be the lion, if I'm not sure what I would be taming. Maybe this is my idea beast. This is my idea beast that I'm having to tame and shut its mouth so that I don't have any more ideas. I've written them or whatever, and let that be a conclusion, and I can shut it up. That's quite a stretch, but I was just having a hard time in relation to writing, trying to figure out what the lion represented in terms of drives or any sort of instinctual behavior. It could represent worries if for some reason, and I don't know why that would be true, but maybe it would be, if the writing would in fact sort of silence my mind or quiet my mind or give me that thing to chew on so that it doesn't invent a bunch of other activities that aren't any more productive than the writing is. So then I decided, certainly I thought maybe doing this process would knock some of these off the chart. The dog activities I pretty much must do. I don't have to do the tarot activities at this point. It's certainly something I enjoy doing and so, you know, it's nice that it got a green light. But I could do it less and still enjoy it. And the collage, to me, did not get firmly knocked off. So the next thing I decided to do was to rank them. And again, I kind of tried to do that with the Conver in terms of time spent, but I guess I wasn't completely satisfied or sold on the feedback I got on that. So, so I pulled cards, one for each of these activities, and ranked them thusly. Excuse me. Major arcanas take precedence, and the earlier numbers have greater precedence. And then the minors, and I was doing the lower numbers having less precedent. And then in the court cards having a higher precedence than the numbered cards. And so what I got, although I ended up with an ace for my numbered cards, and that had me a little bit on the fence about which of these two activities is of higher priority. But the way it's going to go, Devil showed up again, but for the dog activities. And really, there's another, you know, that's another card of control, right? And just like the strength card, and so it's like, okay, that makes sense. So that, and that's earlier than my other major arcana card here, so that is priority. I need to make my dogs the priority. Then the next one in terms of priority was judgment, and that was actually the writing. So apparently I need to get on it and get out of the fantasy phase. And the fact that it came up as judgment makes a ton of sense, because I just can't stop huffing. Because it's something I used to do. It's something I used to do, and I'm returning to it. There's a storm approaching. I hear thunder coming. And then next would be tarot activities, which was represented by the Queen of Swords. And then lastly was the collage, represented by the Ace of Cups. So there we go. So yeah, so you might not, since that was dogs and writing come before tarot, I'm going to use that as my excuse why I'm not on here too much lately. Actually, it has a lot to do with the fact that in the evenings during the week, which I've mentioned in another video, I'm trying to stay off of the computer because of the blue light issue and disruption of sleep, etc., etc. And it's 8:30 now, so I need to get off of here. So anyway, but I decided to share that. I thought other people might probably have less time than me, but anybody else who's trying to decide which of their activities to keep or leave, or which ones to spend more time on or less time on, or which ones could be ditched. In my case, apparently none of them, or any of them could be, of course, but there's no indication in the cards that I've overstayed, that an activity has overstayed its welcome. Goodness, and now I'm not able to talk anymore. So thank you for putting up with my huffy coffee stuff, and I'll see you again, I don't know, maybe in a week. All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.